has ended successfully with 4 people, including 2 lifeboatmen, winched to safety. And Manchester United could be the target of a bidding war. Reports say Rupert Murdoch faces competition to buy the world-famous football club. And the weather this morning, dry and quite bright in the east, but showers in the west spreading inland throughout the day, turning heavy and thundery at times. Always sunny in Los Angeles. That's where we're going now to see if it's still safe after Mark Frieden's weekend exploits. Good morning to you, Mark Frieden.
Good morning, Fiona.
You're looking very bright this morning. Have you had a good weekend?
Well, it's a holiday weekend here, Labor Day, so I was getting a little festive. I've got to tell you, I did have a wonderful weekend because I went to the Hollywood Bowl. You'll remember the Hollywood Bowl, Fiona.
Yeah.
And they had a night of show tunes, and it was a chance for Patrick Stewart from Star Trek and Lynn Redgrave performed. And I want to say on behalf of anyone who enjoys the arts, never sing again, Lynn Redgrave. You can't. Oh, my God. 12,000 people and the humiliation. I just needed to get that off my chest. I wish I had some footage for
and
you.
I can feel it. I can feel it. She was that bad, was she?
Oh, my God. 3 notes into it.
Oh,
it was a disaster, but bless her heart for trying.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Well, what else has happened? What else have you been shocked by?
Well, I am shocked by the news that Sharon Stone seems to be lined up as the next Bond villainess. And now this is an interesting story because it, of course, has made the big news in your papers. I have not been able to confirm this with her agent, but word has it that Sharon does, in fact, want a high-profile role. She needs to get back in the mainstream of the viewership again. She's done some sort of artsy movies that haven't really gone very far, and she's anxious to get back into the limelight again in a big, very public way. So a Bond movie, of course, would be a big entree for her. The problem is with these Bond movies is everybody's curious as to whether how long they can keep the franchise going. And people are now getting worried about being associated with a franchise that has lost its steam. The last few have done well, but they're not so sure how they're going to keep the momentum up in the next few years. So Sharon might be getting on a train that's about to derail, so you never know. Yeah,
they only ever make one appearance and then they're history anyway, aren't they?
Absolutely. But I mean, it's usually the thing that goes down in movie history. You know, you're forever a Bond girl.
Yeah. Okay, well, someone else who could definitely qualify to be a Bond girl, Mark, Pamela Anderson. Any news on that front, so to speak?
Bless her heart, Pamela Anderson. Well, it is a sad time here in Hollywood because all the stars are now out of prison. We have nothing to watch anymore. It's very sad times. Tommy Lee has, in fact, gotten out of prison. Now, he was in for a battery charge, as if we all remember that Tommy Lee struck Pamela Lee while she was holding their 4-month-old child. She pressed charges, filed for divorce. He went to prison. Now, he's been very contrite and on good behavior. They've let him out early, but guess what? He's not going to be running back to the arms of Pamela Lee because, frankly, she's had enough of him. And what's happening now in her life is she's got a new television series. She's got a syndicated series called VIP, in which she plays sort of a detective kind of woman, very sexy, but none of this bare bathing suit kind of antics for her. In fact, she's taking this so seriously, she's one of the executive producers on the show.
I heard she was writing to Tommy Lee in prison, was she?
Well, I think he is the father of her children, so on some level she has to have contact with him. But I think she's very hurt and very nervous about Tommy. I mean, she took him back after one scuffle, and of course we all know where it led the second time. So I think she's just being a little more cautious and being sensible.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mark, talking of stars, there are more stars underfoot in Hollywood than there are in the sky, it seems. Who's the latest to have a star on the old Hollywood Boulevard?
Well, as you well know, there's nothing like getting stepped all over on Hollywood Boulevard to really, you know, put yourself in Hollywood history here. And it's an early birthday gift of all people, Jamie Lee Curtis. She's going to turn 40 in November, and she's having a great year. She's got a couple of children's books out. She has a new movie out, Halloween H2O, and now a star on the Walk of Fame. And we were there. Take a look.
Miss Jamie Lee Curtis.
In a published article, Jamie Lee Curtis said she would like to spend her upcoming 40th birthday with the 2 most important women in her life, her mother and her daughter. Well, let's just call this a preview of things to come, because all 3 got together on Hollywood Boulevard for the unveiling of Jamie Lee's star on the Walk of Fame.
It's Halloween. I guess everyone is entitled to one good scare.
The last time we saw this mother and daughter reunion of Jamie Lee and Janet Leigh was on the big screen for Curtis's latest movie, Halloween H2O. Janet, famous for that shower scene in Psycho, made a cameo appearance.
Jamie Lee did not follow in anyone's footsteps to achieve this honor. She walked her and made her own trail to this.
I followed in her bra straps.
Now, being a second-generation recipient of this honor, Jamie Lee Curtis has now done something very few in Hollywood have done. She's created a Walk of Fame dynasty. You see, her star is about 4 blocks down the road here, and as soon as construction is done, they're going to replace her father, Tony Curtis's star, with the one that sat right here. And as far as her mother, Janet Leigh, well, her star is just off the beaten trail a little bit, around the corner at 1777 Vine Street. Oh, dirty.
As for Jamie Lee, her star found an appropriate spot just in front of a costume store and a world-famous lingerie store, Fredericks of Hollywood.
The combo of being in front of a Halloween shop, basically, a costume shop, and Fredericks of Hollywood, I don't think could sum up better my my place in film icondom, if you will.
And that is the ugliest place in LA, isn't it? Hollywood Boulevard, Mark Friedman.
Well, they're doing a lot since you left, Fiona. It's amazing how they're sprucing the place up. Of course, I've got to tell you, my worst fear is that they ever would give me one of these things, because Arlene, my mom, would get up there with the mic and it would be Lynn Redgrave all over again.
Oh, no, she wouldn't
telling
sing,
you.
though, surely.
It could be anything. Hell's a poppin' once she gets a mic in her
Well,
hand.
let's
It'd be
just
my
pray
worst
you don't
fear.
get one then. Although you
That's-
can buy yourself one, can't you?
Well, no, you have to pay for them, but you have to be nominated, and there's a 3-step process by the nomination, so it's actually a lot tougher than it seems. But in the end, the great honor is you have to pay for it, and they're $10,000.
And then you walked all over down some tacky old street. Horrible.
Hey, we're walked over, and there's no chunk of cement with my name on it.
Exactly, Mark Friedman. Thank you very much indeed. You'll be trotting out your stuff again with Lorraine later on, won't you?
Like it or not, I'm back.
Okay.
And when I was in Los Angeles, there was all these people that had toothbrushes and whatever, and were down their hands, and he's cleaning
Yeah, they do.
Roy Rogers or whatever the heck it happened to be.
But it's horrible. Although Mark said they are sprucing it up, but it's about time, because it's so disappointing. You hear about the City of Angels, the City of Dreams, and you go there and it's awful. It's really tacky.
But, I met a man in Ireland last week, and he came up to me and he said, that wee girl that sits beside you in the morning, he said, she's great, isn't she? And I said, yes. He said, I wish she was back out in America.
Yeah,
but
that's
he meant
what
it,
everyone
No, but he
says.
meant it I think he meant it in a caring way. You know?
Do you remember when we did the road shows and the lady came up to me and she said, oh, you were so good in America, and then she just stopped, and that was it.
Say no more. Still to come in the programme this morning before 8 o'clock, Dangerfield is back with a new series this week and a new doctor. Nigel Havers is the new man in the white coat, and he's doing his ward rounds 10 to 8 here live in the studio this morning.
And we're asking, how far would you go to lose weight? Some people don't know when to stop, really. At 20 to 8, you can meet one woman. She went to extremes to lose 16 stone.
Later on this morning, Les Dennis has those family fortunes clangers. Brian Turner's back in the kitchen. Mums-to-be bear their bumps for pregnancy fashion. And office affairs go under the spotlight with a phone-in.
That's later on This Morning.
At 10:15.
Walt Disney presents Robin Williams in the greenest, gooeyest, grooviest hit comedy ever.
What a bang!
Flubber. It can fly. It can bounce. It can boogie. And it's available for you to own on video now. It's Flubber! Flubber! Catch it if you can.
Two families.
You made me do this, Mom! You said it'd be alright!
One law.
The force up here is full of ill-mannered macho bigots.
No solutions.
I won't let anything happen to you.
In a city ruled by its heart.
He's very upset about the person who informed him.
A desperate call for change. A new drama.
Take her everywhere.
A new team.
Show her everything.
In the savage underworld of vice, she works by the book he never read.
This is a big enough mess already.
Samantha Janus, Liverpool 1, tonight at 9 on ITV.
GMTV weather. with Vaseline antiperspirant for a fresher outlook.
Good morning again. Well, it's into autumn with a bang. The strong winds are going to continue during this week. We'll find bands of rain coming through, followed by showers. And one of those bands of rain is making its way in towards the country today. It's just coming towards the southwest at the moment. It's moving its way steadily northeastwards and will be during this morning and also during this afternoon. Some quite heavy bursts of rain around, I think, during this afternoon, particularly coming through Northern Ireland, down through Wales and down there into southern parts of England as well. We could find one or two cracks of thunder too. Now, elsewhere, it starts off brighter, but then the cloud is going to be increasing. Sunny intervals, though, perhaps just lingering on until the middle part of the afternoon in parts of East Anglia, but we'll also find low cloud right the way through the day, affecting the eastern coast of Scotland and also northeastern coast of England. Temperatures probably about the only saving grace today. 23 degrees Celsius as a high, 73 degrees Fahrenheit down in the far southeast, and probably not too bad either for western parts of Scotland and down in the Lake District there. 21 degrees Celsius is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but you can see down these eastern coasts with that wind coming in off the North Sea, that southeasterly wind, it certainly is going to be feeling cool. So the rain continues its progress northeastwards during tonight. Some heavy bursts of rain to come through northern parts of England, Northern Ireland and eventually for southern parts of Scotland as well. But it will be becoming drier in southern parts of Wales and southwestern England. And basically the outlook for the rest of the week is remaining unsettled with rain at times. Here's the summary.
If you would like more detailed information about the weather in your area for today and the week ahead, call GMTV Weather Call on 0891 55 9955.
And the weather leads the news this morning. The top story, a dramatic sea rescue off the north coast of Cornwall. 4 people, including 2 lifeboat men who had become trapped, taking part in an attempt to rescue a father and son, were plucked to safety as they sheltered in a cave from 30-foot waves.
It was the tail end of Hurricane Danielle, but the heavy seas pounded the Cornish coast. In pitch darkness, Coast Guards coordinated the rescue from the cliff top above the cave, where the 4 were trapped. Inside the cave were Nick Leeds and his 11-year-old son Jamie, along with 2 lifeboat men, thrown into the water themselves as their boat capsized at the start of the rescue attempt. For almost 5 hours, they sheltered on a ledge deep in the cave behind the wreckage of the inshore lifeboat, wedged into rocks by the surging 30-foot waves. With time running out, Coast Guards abseiled 180 feet down the sheer cliffs to lead the group out of the cave, and as the tide began to fall, they were winched to safety by a helicopter hovering overhead.
The sea was just too great. I lowered down and looked in. There was no way we was going to get in there until the tide eased out. The lifeboat was on its side and jammed very hard in. The casualties were behind the lifeboat, which probably saved them from the worst of the seas. The lifeboat saved their life.
For the RAF pilot, it had been a precarious operation.
We'd shut down and we were at the top of the cliff looking down, and it was just looking down onto it, it was horrendous. You just sat there thinking, how can someone survive in there?
The 4 were flown to North Devon Hospital, just 12 minutes away, suffering from the effects of exposure. All of them extremely lucky to be alive.
Over the past few days, Coast Guards and lifeboat crews have been called out around the Devon, Cornish and Welsh coasts. Their advice to the public is these are big seas and high tides. Please don't venture out. As for last night's drama, Coast Guard say it was so dangerous they couldn't even train for something like that. Martin Frizzell, GMTV News on the Cornish coast.
Thanks very much to Martin. Now with the time at 26 minutes to 8, here's Penny Smith with the rest of this morning's news.
Thanks very much. Good morning. Rupert Murdoch could face competition in his attempts to buy Manchester United. It's reported today that leisure group ENIC, which owns a substantial stake in Glasgow Rangers, is considering a rival bid. Mr Murdoch's B-Sky B group is understood to be offering £575 million for United, but it's led to concern because of a potential conflict of interests over television rights, as well as condemnation from many United fans. After years of political standoff, the Unionist First Minister of Northern Ireland, David Trimble, will meet Sinn Féin's Gerry Adams today when party leaders hold talks on the resumption of the new Assembly. But far more significant will be a one-to-one meeting between the two leaders scheduled for Thursday. Mr Trimble, though, has insisted there'll be no handshake until the IRA begins decommissioning weapons. Rescue divers searching off the coast of Canada for the wreckage of Swiss Air Flight 111 have recovered one of its black box recorders. Investigators hope the information will enable them to reconstruct the plane's final moments. The aircraft plunged into the Atlantic last Wednesday night, killing all 229 people on board. The Beatles are still top of the pops, according to the largest ever music survey. The Fab Four's music heads the top of the all-time Pop 1000 albums, and they've also been voted the best artists of all time. Some newer bands did get a look in. Oasis, Nirvana and Radiohead are also in the top 10. No mention of the Seekers, I noticed. 7:35, back just after 8 o'clock now. Here's the news, travel and weather where you are.
Good morning, I'm Paul Green. The headlines here in London today. Firefighters are battling a massive factory fire in the heart of the city. This was the scene within the last hour. Huge flames shooting from Kingsway House in Bath Street. That's just by Old Street Tube. The fire has sent a cloud of smoke billowing across London. 15 fire crews are at the scene. Our reporter Rebecca Smith is also in Bath Street.
75 firefighters are still tackling the blaze, which broke out at 6 o'clock this morning. Smoke is billowing hundreds of feet into the air. The fire has spread quickly. It's now engulfing 3 of the 4 floors of the disused factory on the corner of Bath Street and Lever Street in the city. Nearby buildings, including City and Islington College, have been evacuated, and Moorfields Hospital is on standby to evacuate all staff and patients. No one has been hurt.
Travel news now, and we start with the Old Street area, obviously very congested, well worth avoiding this morning. Vicarage Farm Road in Hounslow is closed following an accident. Traffic's being diverted via the Great West Road, and in Richmond, Mortlake Road is closed to northbound traffic at the junction of Chalkers Corner and Kew Green. Roadworks 2 out in Camberwell. And just before we go, return to our main story this morning. 70 firefighters are battling a massive factory fire in the heart of the city at the moment. Nearby buildings have been evacuated as the disused factory in Bath Street is still burning. The building is surrounded by several blocks of flats. 15 fire engines are at the scene near Moorfields Eye Hospital, which is on standby to evacuate. And that's it for now. More news from us at 8:30. Now, a look at the weather.
Come rain or shine, your local weather report with Transitions lenses, right in any light.
And a mild start and a dry, breezy morning ahead. A mixture of cloud and sunny intervals, in fact, staying dry this afternoon with a freshening southerly wind. The top temperature today, 23 Celsius, that's 73 Fahrenheit.
Hello.
She says to me, what can we talk about? We're too busy talking to work out what we're talking about.
No,
Anyway.
because we interest ourselves, but we want something to talk about that'll interest you
Yes,
as well.
that
Sadly,
would
we
make a
can't think of anything.
Now, there's a couple of good TV programmes that we're featuring in the next half hour. Oh, except we're not, because Nigel Havers is late.
He's late, but he'll be on at 8:20.
20 past 8, so
Yeah.
I was going to mention... Right, forget all that first bit about Nigel Havers, right,
Yeah.
because he's going to be on at 20 past 8.
Yeah.
But we'll have an interview with Mel Gibson at 10 to 8 this morning. Then we're going to talk about a programme that's on ITV tonight. It's a documentary about fat. Now, I would hate to be overweight, but there you go. Just how far would you go to win the inch war? We're talking about that. We're getting a few tricks of the trade in a couple of minutes.
There they were, out and about, and suddenly they both had that hungry feeling. Then out came the follow-on milk. It was ready mixed and poured straight into their drinking beakers from the pack. I thought to myself, how convenient. I wonder who makes that.
What's that in your hand?
No way, Mum. He was murdered by Colonel Mustard in the dining room.
What's that in your hand?
With a knife.
With the game of Cluedo, you'll figure out who done it with what and where.
The rope. No, the wrench. No, the revolver.
This game is murder.
Cluedo from Waddington's.
Jesmar first for fun.
Your baby loves his bottle. Baby, feed me. He sits up to drink. Baby, feed me. He falls asleep. To wake him up again, you take him in your arms. Baby, feed me from Jesmar. He moves, drinks, cries, and laughs.
Some hairsprays are like yesterday's corsets. You get hold all right, but they're stiff, rigid, suffocating. New Organics hairspray reinvents hold, clear hold. While some hairsprays can clump hairs together, Organics holds each hair individually, invisibly. There's no stiffness, no stickiness. Maximum hold, but with hair that can breathe. New Organics hairspray with clear hold. Feels like you've got nothing on.
Ahead of her first solo single, Scary Mel becomes the first Spice Girl to face the questions alone. Only Mel B and GMTV. Welcome back. Half the country is overweight, and according to the latest medical evidence, fat is fatal. In a world where we hear so much about starvation, would you believe twice as many people, over 1 million worldwide, die every year from being overweight? So just how far would you go to lose weight? Well, just when you look at this, you might want to put aside your breakfast after this.
Okay. Do you mind if I examine your abdomen?
No, sir.
Patients come to the Wellness Centre seeking the ultimate solution in their fight against fat. Dr. Cowan has developed a radical surgical procedure that is a significant advance on the stomach stapling operations pioneered in the 80s. His technique is to divide the stomach and the intestine. All food has to pass through this tiny half-ounce pouch, signaling to the brain that the stomach is full after only a few mouthfuls.
Well, that's an extract there from a fascinating documentary on ITV tonight at 8:30, called, quite simply, Fat. Let's now go to New York. The lady you see there is called Becky, and Becky actually went through an operation very, very similar to the one we saw there. Becky, good morning to you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, and you're looking very, very well, Becky.
Well, thank you.
Well, at your heaviest, Becky, what weight would you have been?
At my heaviest weight, I was 340 pounds.
What's that in English now? That's, what's that? That's over 25 stone. 25 stone, that is. And what weight?
I guess, yeah.
Yes, and what weight are you now?
I fluctuate anywhere from 120 to 130 pounds.
Goodness
so
me.
I've basically lost over 200 pounds.
Goodness me, you're almost unrecognizable. Now, you went through this stapling operation.
Yes, I did.
How painful was that?
Well, it was a little painful. Of course, it's surgery, and it's major surgery, and I can't say that it was really painful. It was just real uncomfortable. I was 64 inches in the waist, and when you have surgery down the front like that, it's just real uncomfortable. But it was really, really worth it. And I have my trousers here. You want to see how big I used to be?
Yeah.
Okay, here they are. These were my favorite pants right here.
Goodness me, goodness me.
So
and you keep,
I can fit.
You keep those there so that there's no going back.
Well, there's not a going back. I just keep them to remind me what I used to be, and I'll never forget that. And so that's why